All right, so today we're going to be tackling something that I think a lot of people struggle with,
Yeah.
turning those dreams into uh, reality.
Right.
And we're talking goals,
Oh.
setting goals. And I think there's a lot of mystery around this sometimes.
Absolutely.
You know, I know what I want, but I don't really know how to get there. So we're going to be exploring that today, hopefully, having some of those light bulb moments.
Yeah, those aha moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, goal setting. I mean, it's like a foundational skill,
Yeah.
and it's something that we can apply to literally every area of our lives.
Right. And, it's funny because all of our sources really emphasize, goals give us direction.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a roadmap, helps reduce stress. But I have to say that part kind of threw me off a little bit because I would think that striving for something would actually create more pressure.
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But the research actually shows that having that clear purpose, a sense of direction, actually can lower cortisol levels, which is our stress hormone.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it if you're just drifting aimlessly.
Yeah.
Every decision feels big and overwhelming.
Yeah.
But when you have a goal, it's like this filter for your choices.
Oh.
Does this take me closer to what I want? Yes or no?
Oh, I see.
And suddenly decisions become so much easier
Oh, that's interesting.
and less stressful.
Yeah, so it's not even just about achieving the goal itself. It's almost like the journey and the mental clarity that you get.
100%. I mean, it's that feeling of being in control even when life is throwing you curveballs.
Right. So, okay, we know that goals are important, but how do we set ourselves up for success?
Wow.
And, all of our sources really go deep into this concept of SMART goals.
Yes.
It's almost like it's this magic formula.
Right. Well, there's a reason why it's so widely used.
Right.
It's because it really helps you define those vague aspirations into actionable steps.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Let's do it.
So the first one is specific, and I have to say, sometimes my goals are a little bit too dreamy.
Oh, yeah. I think we've all been there. But the more specific you can be, the better, for example. Instead of saying, oh, I want to get fit,
Right.
A SMART goal would be, I will exercise for 30 minutes 5 times a week for the next 3 months.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's very...
It paints a much clearer picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that difference between like a blurry snapshot and like high definition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And that leads us to measurable.
Okay.
So how are you going to track your progress?
Oh, okay.
So let's say your goal is to learn a new language.
Mm.
Are you going to track the number of new words you learn each week, the number of conversations you have? You need those milestones to stay motivated and see how far you've come.
I see. That makes sense. And what about achievable? Because I think sometimes I set the bar so high that I just feel defeated before I even start.
That's such a common one.
Yeah.
It's so important to find that sweet spot between challenging yourself, but also setting realistic expectations.
So how do you know if you're pushing yourself enough without setting yourself up for failure?
That's a great question. I think one way to do that is to look at your past successes and your past failures.
Mm-hmm.
What have you accomplished in the past that required similar effort?
Oh.
What obstacles did you face, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, that's a really good way to kind of gauge your capabilities.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got specific, measurable, achievable. What does the R stand for?
Relevant.
Okay.
And this is where things get really interesting. It's not just about setting any goal. It's about making sure that your goals align with your values and your long-term vision for your life.
Whoa.
It's about asking yourself, why do I want this?
Okay.
And if the answer doesn't resonate with your core values, maybe it's time to reassess.
Yeah, that's a big question.
It is a big question.
I'm already feeling like this deep dive is helping me get
Very
clear on my goals.
Clarity is key,
Mhm.
right? And that's what this framework helps us do.
Okay.
All right, so last but not least, we have time bound.
You're...
Deadlines are essential because they create a sense of urgency and accountability.
Mhm.
If you're aiming to read 12 books this year, but you've only read 3 in the first 6 months, it's a clear sign that you need to adjust your pace.
So deadlines aren't about pressure. They're more about like structure and helping you stay on track.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that brings us to the next challenge, because even with a perfectly crafted SMART goal,
Right.
those big aspirations can feel pretty daunting.
Yeah, it can feel like climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops.
Exactly.
So how do you break those goals down into manageable steps?
Well, one of the things I think is really helpful is creating a visual representation of it,
Oh.
almost like a flow chart or a mind map, where you're breaking down that big audacious goal into those smaller steps.
I love that I'm such a visual learner, so something like that would definitely help me wrap my head around it.
Yeah,
It's like those step-by-step instructions you get with IKEA furniture,
exactly.
but instead of assembling a bookshelf, you're assembling your dream.
Yeah, and just like those instructions,
Yeah.
you need the right tools for the job.
Right.
And our sources highlight some great ways to stay organized.
Yeah.
Planners, to-do list apps like Trello or Notion.
Right.
Find what works best for you personally.
I'm a big fan of whiteboards. I love visualizing my goals and being able to erase things as I complete them. It's so satisfying.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine that I'm a little bit more digital, so I love using apps. It's like having a mini project manager in my pocket.
Right.
But it's not all about fancy tools, right?
No, not at all.
Our sources really emphasize the importance of accountability partners.
Oh, 100%. Having someone to share your goals with who can provide support, encouragement, can make all the difference.
I mean, there's a reason why workout buddies are so effective, right?
Totally.
You're less likely to skip that gym session if you know someone's waiting for you.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like having a built-in cheerleader,
Yeah,
but one who will also call you out when you're slacking off.
exactly. And that brings up something I think, we all have to face at some point, which is those roadblocks, those moments when things don't go smoothly,
Yeah.
even with the best laid plans.
Right.
How do you deal with that? Our sources don't sugarcoat it. Challenges are a natural part of the process, but they do offer some great strategies for dealing with those obstacles. Okay. And they kind of break it down into these 3 common culprits, lack of motivation, procrastination, and then that fear of failure.
Okay, well, that pretty much covers it.
Yeah.
So what about those moments when you just, lack that motivation?
Yeah.
Even thinking about your goals feels exhausting.
Oh, yeah. I've been there for sure. One of the most effective strategies, I think, is to reconnect with your why.
Okay.
Why did this goal matter to you in the first place? What will it feel like to achieve it?
Oh.
Visualize that end result. Tap back into that initial spark of inspiration, and that can often just reignite that motivation.
Oh, it's like reminding yourself of the delicious meal you're going to enjoy after you've finished chopping all those vegetables.
Exactly.
And what about procrastination? Because that's a big one for me.
Oh, yeah. Procrastination's a beast. But one technique that's gained a lot of traction is the Pomodoro technique. Have you heard of that?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically working in these focused bursts of 25 minutes, followed by a 5-minute break.
Okay.
And it can be surprisingly effective, even if you only manage a few cycles a day.
I've tried that before, and it's amazing how much you can get done
Yeah.
in those little short bursts.
You're kind of tricking your brain into thinking it's only a small commitment,
Yeah.
but then those small commitments, they add up.
They do. They do.
Yeah.
But what about the fear of failure? I mean, that one can be really paralyzing.
Oh, for sure. Our sources suggest reframing failure as a learning opportunity.
Oh.
Every setback is a chance to course correct,
Okay.
to refine your approach, to gain valuable experience.
Okay.
Think of it like those early versions of software.
Yeah.
They might be buggy, they might be frustrating, but they pave the way for a much better final product.
Like Thomas Edison famously said, I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work.
Exactly. And speaking of Edison,
Yeah.
it took him over 1,000 attempts to develop a practical light bulb.
Really?
Imagine if he'd given up after 100 or, even 500.
Wow. Yeah.
Persistence is key.
It really is. And it's not about, avoiding failure. It's about having that resilience to keep going,
Right.
even when things are tough.
And it's also about celebrating those wins, right?
Yes.
It can't be all work and no play.
Definitely not.
Our sources talk about the importance of regularly reviewing your progress and making adjustments as needed. Life throws curveballs, our priorities shift, and sometimes our initial goals need a little tweaking.
I think sometimes we get so caught up in, striving for the end goal
Yeah.
that we forget to appreciate those little victories along the way.
Right.
Like if my goal is to write a novel, maybe I should be celebrating, finishing a chapter.
Yes.
Or even just writing a certain number of words every day.
Absolutely. Those small wins are crucial for maintaining momentum and staying motivated.
Yeah.
It's like those loyalty programs that reward you for every purchase.
Right.
Those points might seem insignificant at the moment, but they add up.
They do.
And those little rewards, whether it's a new book, a relaxing bath, or a night out with friends,
Yeah.
that can really help us stay on track and enjoy the journey.
It's like giving yourself a little mini high five
Exactly.
for all your hard work.
Yes.
So, okay, speaking of high fives, What are some of the key takeaways from all of this? Because I feel like we've covered so much,
Yeah.
and I just want to make sure I'm absorbing all this wisdom. I feel like we've been on this like amazing journey exploring all these different aspects of goal setting.
It is a journey. And, now it's about taking all these pieces and putting them into action in our own lives.
So to recap, we started with this idea that goals are kind of like a roadmap, right?
Yeah.
Give us direction, help us reduce stress by making those tough decisions easier.
And then we talked about how to make those goals really solid using that SMART framework.
Right. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Exactly. It's like taking those dreams and turning them into something we can actually work with.
Yeah. And then even once we have those SMART goals in place, we talked about breaking them down, into those bite-sized pieces so they don't feel so overwhelming.
Using all the tools we have available, planners, accountability partners, anything that can help us stay on track.
Right. And of course, we can't forget about those obstacles.
Oh, yeah. Those are going to pop up no matter what.
Those moments of doubt, the procrastination, the fear of failure.
But we learned that those are not the end of the world.
Right. They're just part of the process.
Opportunities to learn and adjust our course.
And through it all, we need to remember to celebrate those wins.
Yes, big and small.
It's those little victories that really keep us motivated, especially when things get tough.
It's like giving ourselves a little pat on the back for all the hard work we're putting in.
So what does this all mean for you, dear listener?
Yeah, what's that one goal you're ready to commit to this week?
What's that first step you can take today to move a little bit closer to that dream?
Write it down. Tell a friend, put it on your calendar, make it real.
Because you don't have to be Thomas Edison to achieve amazing things.
Right.
I mean, he didn't invent the light bulb on his first try either.
No, he kept experimenting, learning, and pushing forward until he found that solution.
And you have that same power within you.
So go out there, set those goals, embrace the journey, and watch as those dreams start to take shape.
Until next time, keep chasing those dreams. And remember, you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to.